people discovered something strange. It seems like there is something in the river in front of them. At this moment, a curious Adao picked up a can and threw it into the water, only for it to be instantly eaten by an unknown creature. Everyone happily discussed, saying it must be a dolphin playing with humans. After saying this, they all swiftly tossed their food and drinks down. Little did they know this curiosity would soon cost them their lives. The next second, Ado looked into the distance and froze. A gigantic creature resembling both a fish and a lizard was charging towards the people. Witnessing the scene, they began to flee in panic, while those who couldn't escape were thrown dozens of meters away. Next, the monster charged into the square where the people were gathered. Seeing so many prey, its eyes turned red. At this moment, a girl was sitting on the grass, still intently listening to the friend talking about the movie, completely unaware of the approaching danger. By the time she realized it, it was already too late. For a moment, the entire square was in chaos, filled with fear and wailing.
At this moment, a group of people rushed to hide in the container house, leaving one woman outside the door.
Just before the monster charged up, the woman jumped down the stairs, saving her life. But looking back at the container house, it was tragic. The monster rushed in, guarding the entrance alone, freely hunting food inside, as the other side of the container house's door was tightly chained shut. People inside began desperately shouting through the door cracks. At this moment, the woman realized her son was still inside, so she anxiously asked Adu for help. With the help of a foreign friend, Adu finally managed to unlock the door and save the remaining people inside. Then the foreign friend made a concerted effort. Angrily, he lifted a paving stone and threw it at the monster, but it had no effect. So with the help of Adu, they lifted a stone block and hurled it at the monster. The monster felt attacked and charged towards the two people. With Moto Dao had a sudden idea and climbed into the car. The foreign friend wasn't so lucky. They were directly stepped on by the monster, in a precarious situation. At this moment, Adu, in order to save the other party, exerted all his will. With all his might, he picked up the stone block and smashed it at the monster again, this time successfully injuring the monster's tail. The monster let out a painful cry and started relentlessly chasing after Adu. During the run, Dao pulled his daughter away from the scene, and in the tense chaos, they fell down. After getting up, Adu grabbed the girl's hand and ran some distance before realizing something was wrong. He had actually been holding someone else's daughter's hand. Adu was dumbfounded. It was a dramatic scene where he could only watch helplessly as his daughter was taken by the monster. The monster leaped into the Han River, grabbing the daughter and swimming towards the other side, then slowly submerged underwater, disappearing without a trace, leaving the father, Adu, desperately screaming to no avail. As Adu was still immersed in the grief of losing his daughter Xuanshu, he received a message to evacuate quickly. Then the South Korean military took over, designating the waters around the Han River as a restricted area. In the evening, all the bereaved families gathered together, mourning their lost loved ones. Looking at the uncertain life and death photos, second uncle and aunt's family of 4 were heartbroken. Soon after, the situation became increasingly severe. Everyone present at the riverbank incident had to be quarantined. It turned out that this monster attack was not just about causing human casualties. This morning, the person who helped Adu to save people was an American officer. He was injured while fighting the monster, and a part of his body got infected with some unknown terrifying virus. As a result, Adu's whole family was quarantined. In the dead of night, Adu was too hungry to sleep, so he stealthily found a can and began to eat heartily. At this moment, his phone suddenly vibrated, and Adu answered it. Amidst the noise from the other end, Adu still managed to hear his daughter Xuanshu's voice. The document tells Adu that their phone is almost out of battery, and that they are trapped in a very large and deep sewer. Adu anxiously asked his daughter for the exact location, and after he finished speaking, there was no sound from the other end of the phone. Adu was thrilled to hear that his daughter was still alive. He then called the police, seeking their assistance. The police, however, listened and looked indifferent, convinced that Adu was just talking nonsense. What's more ironic is that second uncle told the police, "Can't you locate the position through the call records?" The police replied, after seeking help in vain, they could only plan to leave and search for Xuanshu themselves. However, just as the operation began, Adau's blonde hair exposed the target. Upon seeing that their escape plan had been discovered, they quickly fled and got into the car that had been arranged to pick them up, then left. Father Lao Pu also used up all his savings to buy rescue equipment and 3 shotguns on the black market. Soon, the family of 4 was wanted and posted online, but even this couldn't stop their determination to rescue their relative. In the end, with their superb acting skills, they successfully disguised themselves as disinfection workers to get past the checkpoint. Subsequently, the family members searched thoroughly through any sewers that were very large and deep, based on Xuanshu's description. It's unknown how long had passed, yet there was no progress at all. The family was cold, hungry, and exhausted, so they planned to return to their small shop at home, eat something, replenish their energy, and continue searching for Xuanshu. At this moment, the family started imagining the scene of having a meal together with Xuanshu, and habitually taking turns feeding Xuanshu. The whole family is full of warmth and joy. The scene shifts back to Xuanshu, forming a stark contrast with his dark, damp, cold, and hungry environment, alongside cold corpses. Xuanshu imagines how wonderful it would be if he were really beside his family. Suddenly, he hears the sound of the monster returning to its nest, so he quickly pretends to lie on the ground motionless. Thankfully, the monster does not notice him, and leaves the nest after dropping off its newly captured prey. Fortunately, this time a young boy survived. Just as Xuanshu was about to check the boy's injuries, unexpectedly the creature returned upon hearing the noise. Fortunately, Uncle Xuan hugged the boy tightly and lay on the ground. Could he deceive the monster again this time? The man discovered something bizarre. Through the crack in the door, he saw a monster looking at him disdainfully. At this moment, Old Park carefully picked up the shotgun and aimed at the monster through the crack in the door. With the sound of a gunshot, the prey charged at them like the wind. The enraged monster used all its strength and flipped over the Park family's small shop. At this moment, Park seized the opportunity and shot the monster, driving it back. When Park and his family got outside, they found the monster lying right in front of them. The second son, upon seeing it, immediately shot at the monster, but unexpectedly, the monster got up and ran away. It had cleverly pretended to be dead to deceive them. Then the family relentlessly pursued the monster, determined to eliminate it to avenge Xuanxu. The gunshots were noticed by patrolling guards, who chased after them, while the monster took this chance to plunge into the water. Seeing the shadow approaching, Lao Pu told the children to go first, taking this opportunity to fight the monster. He took Ado's rifle with one remaining bullet, resolutely deciding to face the monster in a life-or-death battle. Just as the monster charged ashore, when Mr. Park cocked the shotgun and pulled the trigger, there were no bullets. It turned out Ado had fired 4 shots but miscounted by 1. At this moment, Mr. Park calmly faced reality, waved to the children, and told them to leave. The responsibility of finding their granddaughter fell to them, and then the monster crashed onto the ground. The children watched as their father was grabbed by the monster once again and violently thrown down to the riverbank. Then it turned around and disappeared into the Han River. Watching their father who died because of them, Adu was overwhelmed with grief, but the patrolling guards were about to arrive, so Adu told his brother and sister to leave and find Uncle Xuan. He picked up a piece of newspaper and covered his father's face, wanting to turn and leave, but couldn't bear to part with his father. In the end, Adu was still caught back. Namil and Namju, who had escaped, got separated. At this time, Namil thought of his university classmate, who worked at a communications company, hoping to locate Uncle Hayon with his classmate's help. The classmate agreed to help Namil. The two of them quietly sneaked into the company under the cover of darkness, but the search required the supervisor's authorization password for access. Just like that, the classmate went to the supervisor's office, only to find that the police were already lying in wait inside. It turns out the classmate had already betrayed Namil for the reward money. Seeing that the classmate hadn't come out for so long, Namil just happened to spot a password in front of him and decided to try his luck, unexpectedly managing to get in and find Uncle Hyun's location. As soon as Nanyi felt happy, he was surrounded by police. At this moment, Nanyi remained calm, confirmed Uncle Xuan's location once more, and cleverly created a short-circuit device, plunging the room into darkness. Seizing the opportunity, Nanyi quietly slipped outside while all the police were trapped inside. Before leaving, his classmate even gave him a cheering gesture. It turns out that the classmate ultimately followed his heart and helped Nang Yi, assisting him in successfully escaping the police chase. Just after escaping the building, faced with police cars closing in from front and back, Nang Yi daringly jumped onto the bridge, ultimately escaping the police pursuit. Enduring physical pain, he sent Xuan Uncle's location to his brother and sister, and then he passed out. Meanwhile, Nanju and after Nanyi got separated, he successfully rested overnight under a bridge. Then he evaded layers of patrols, refueled at a small store, charged his powered-off phone, and only then received Uncle Xuan's location, so he was the first to rush off to rescue Uncle Xuan. After a long journey, Nanju arrived at Wenji Bridge and had barely approached when he ran head-on into a monster. Just as he was about to draw his bow, the swift monster knocked him over, causing him to fall into a narrow pit beside him. Fortunately, the pit was too small, and the creature being large couldn't catch Namju. The unconscious Namju narrowly escaped disaster. On the other side of the scene, Adu also learned Uncle Xuan's location, but when explaining to the doctor ignored her and even said the virus had reached Adu's skull, forcibly performing head surgery on her. Ultimately, driven by the buff of eagerness to save his daughter, Adu directly hijacked the staff and then drove away, heading towards his daughter's location. Watching as Nanyi wakes up from his sleep with the help of a homeless man, they make incendiaries and then quickly head towards Yuanji Bridge. The scene shifts back to Uncle Xuan, observing that both he and the boy are getting weaker. They can't wait for rescue and must find a way to save themselves. He collected usable clothes, tied them together, and with all his strength, hung them on the iron net above. How hopeless it is, the clothes are hung up, but they still fall short by a large section below, and even jumping up, there's no way to reach them. At the moment when Uncle Xuan was struggling with what to do, an opportunity presented itself right in front of him. After the monster had eaten and drunk its fill, it surprisingly came down to rest. Uncle Xuan, in order to check if the monster was asleep, picked up he threw the can at the monster, but the noise surprisingly didn't elicit any reaction from the monster. So Uncle Xuan came up with a bold idea. He comforted the boy, telling him to stay there and not move, promising that he would find help to rescue the boy once he got out. In this way, Uncle Xuan stopped speaking, stepped on the monster's back, and firmly caught hold of him. Just when he thought he had succeeded, unexpectedly, the monster's tail wrapped around Xuanxu and slowly placed him on the ground. The monster seemed to say defiantly, "With me here, just try it. The girl can never escape from here." At this moment, the boy came out of the hole, saw the scene, and was so frightened that he wet his pants. To protect the boy from entering the cave again, Uncle Xuan desperately ran back, but was caught by the monster. To completely eliminate the monster, the government launched a biochemical weapon into the Han River. This action also caused widespread dissatisfaction among the public, leading to large-scale protests along the riverbank. Seeing so many prey, the monster charged towards the crowd as if it had been invigorated. At this moment, a couple in the parade was the first to spot the monster. The police then began shooting at the monster. Adu rushed to stop the police from firing because he was afraid they might accidentally injure his daughter inside the monster's belly. Seeing the monster crawl onto the shore, the government decisively released the biochemical weapon. Watching the monster struggle painfully on the ground, Adu rushed forward and finally found his daughter inside the monster's stomach. He pulled his daughter out with great effort, and at this point, Xuanxu was holding a boy, but Adu saw that Xuanxu showed no signs of life, and he burst into tears. At this moment, Adu gradually regained his senses. He was determined to make the murderer of his daughter pay with blood. Taking advantage of the main character throwing a Molotov cocktail at the monster, he chased after it, but the monster managed to dodge it every time. At the critical moment, it was the homeless man who stepped up. He quietly approached above the monster and poured all the fuel onto it. Lanyi seized the opportunity, took out the last Molotov cocktail, and threw it at the monster, but it slipped from his hand and fell behind him. Just as he was extremely frustrated, an amazing scene unfolded. The main character, who was a professional archer, covered the arrowhead in flames, and with a perfect shot, hit the monster's eye accurately. The monster was instantly engulfed in flames, and its wailing cries of pain echoed through the sky. At that moment, the monster looked toward the nearby Han River, intending to escape into the water to extinguish the fire, but just a step away, it was intercepted by Adu. Ado used all his strength, thrusting directly into the monster's face. At this moment, he was a father fighting for his deceased daughter. In the end, the exhausted monster finally collapsed. Adu, with his trembling body, dragged himself to the boy's side, and at that moment, the boy woke up. The daughter lost her life protecting the boy, who turned out to be a homeless orphan. Perhaps it was all the best arrangement by fate. From then on, the boy lived with Adu. There were lots of snacks and Adu's love for him, living a simple and happy life together.